if I was able to walk to work and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30 and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest. And then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset.
So I want to make a longer video about how much I hate the state of the world, especially inspired by what's going on in Palestine right now. But you guys would have seen this TikTok going around on Twitter if you use Twitter, and it's about someone getting a job for the first time, a 9-to-5 job, full-time job after graduating and stuff. And there have been a lot of very nasty comments to this person about it's the real world, you should grow up, and just being very uncharitable. And what has united these critiques are they are all from older people. They are all from older millennials, Gen Xers, and people who were firmly conditioned into neoliberalism, where all of your life's worth is determined by how hard you work. And a lot of them, of course, are also Americans, so you have that whole like Protestant work ethic slash mixed up with neoliberal capitalism, creating a very toxic mix where people are proud of giving up their whole lives to make their boss rich, right? They're totally happy with having their labour exploited with hours that are far too long, stripping your identity, just becoming worker, and that's it. And that's great because that's the way things are, apparently. And like I said, it's not just conservatives saying this. There are a lot of liberal people saying this. Liberal people who, in theory, I thought wanted to make the world better, but are all dunking on some Gen Z person struggling to cope with the fact that, yes, 9-to-5 work does like literally take up all your time, strip your identity, and leave you exhausted to basically do anything else. And that is a common experience that most of us can share, right? And if you're a student and you're watching this, please enjoy being a student, because part of that being the best time of your life, I think, is not like the partying and drinking, it's the free time. And it's also the free time on top of studying something, hopefully, you are passionate about and enjoy. So what I want to do today is I want to watch the TikTok with you. I want to talk about it. Then I'm going to talk about my own experience with full-time work and the realization that your life is over. Your enjoyable life is over. You are now just worker. And that takes up like most of your time. And then I want to talk about the responses from one liberal account and from Matt Walsh as well. And just talk about the kind of arguments they're using to make this girl seem ridiculous. So yeah, all of that coming up for you today. Like the video. And in the comments, just let me know like your thoughts on this. Let me know about your own experience of transitioning from either high school or university into the full-time workplace, because I'm sure we will all have similar stories about realizing like, is this life? Is this all there is to life? Working 40 hours a week, commuting another 15 hours on top of that to make someone else money, and then being too tired to do anything else. Like, is that really all life is about? Also, follow me on social media, on all social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and check out the Patreon if you want to support my work continuing. And yeah, let's get into this video. So like I said, this TikTok was going viral, and let's just watch it to start the video, and then I will talk about that, and then I'll talk about my own experience with full-time work.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, duh! If I was able to walk to work and it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30 and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest. And then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9-to-5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But like I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5. And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black, like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet, like, a guy. I don't know. Like, how do you have time for, like, dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm, like, so stressed out. And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But, like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
So again, like, this person isn't being like how I would describe it, right? I would be more scathing about the actual work hours. She's basically saying it's not so much the work hours, which is way too much. What's that, like 35 hours a week? It's also just the commute. So she gets on the train to work at 7:30, gets home at 6:15. Loads of us can relate to that. And I don't see anything wrong with what she's saying. The realization that work takes up all your time is very hard to deal with. And she doesn't even hate her job. And she doesn't mind about the work hours either. And she's still realizing it's just this whole, like, capitalist structure of everyone must work 35 hours a week. Everyone must be in the office 35 hours a week or 40 hours a week in other cases like my own and stuff. And yeah, the fact that people are mad about that, what's wrong with what she's saying? Like, work keeps you very busy. If you have to commute into a city, like a lot of us do, because that's where all the jobs are, I had to do that as well, then yeah, you give up most of your time. What's wrong with that? If you have a reaction to her saying that and you want to dunk on her for being emotional, privileged, there's something wrong with you. You fundamentally lack empathy, because it's hard. It's hard transitioning to, yeah, high school, hard work, but get to see my friends, get to do things on the side. University, hard work, but can kind of structure my own schedule, just walk to lectures or get the bus and then come back. That's all nice. And now suddenly I have to be up at 6:30 every single day, 5 days a week, to commute in with loads of other people, sit at my desk where everyone is super tired and miserable, do that all day before coming home and collapsing into a ball on the sofa because I'm too tired. So again, I have complete sympathy with her there. And it's even worse when you're already super political before you do this. So now I want to talk about my own experience, which I have shared a lot in the past, especially when I actually quit my job when I was doing YouTube and stuff, about nearly 3 years ago, actually. It'll be 3 years next month since I actually handed in my notice. So yeah, let me share my own experience. So I have been doing YouTube since I was in university doing my master's degree. So I was also a communist before I started full-time work. So I graduated from my master's December 2018, and I already had a couple job interviews before that. I didn't get it. And in the whole of 2019, I spent applying for jobs, doing some freelance work on the side, doing my YouTube on the side, but applying for jobs, going up London, having so many interviews, getting into like the last two, and then just not even hearing back. Like, that's how brutal these companies are and how terrible they are. Like, I would literally get into the last two people multiple times, and they wouldn't tell me if I got the job. They'd just be like, oh, assume the other person got it. The capitalist workplaces, especially up London, they do not treat you with respect. Like, the fact that I can waste like 3 days going up London for various interview stages, and they treat me like this. But yeah, at the time I was also playing semi-pro football, and all of this together, you know, YouTube, freelance, football, my life was pretty full. Like, I'm not someone who was sitting around being like, oh my God, I can't wait for a job. I was actually pretty content with my life. And I kept on thinking, well, you know, applying for these jobs, doing these interviews, like I really don't want to do this. Like, seriously, like, I am not looking forward to the job that says yes to me, because I'm just doing this because you have to, right? Because you have to make money. You know, that is actually the only reason I'm doing this. Like most people. Not that you can ever tell, you know, your potential employer that. And then eventually in November, just after my 24th birthday, I got accepted into a job. But 2019 was a hard year because I also had some bad neurological issues, which thankfully I've recovered from, which were made worse by work, from undiagnosed OCD. And I'm going to try and find this, but I remember posting on my Instagram story, like, about to become a wage slave on the morning of my first day, and I'm standing at the train station. It's pitch black because it's November, and it's like 6:30 in the morning. And even that day, I'm like, here we go. Like, I know what's waiting for me. I'm going to hate my life for the next 40 years. And then I go, you know, do my first week, and yeah, I hate it. And the thing is, I didn't hate my job straight away. Like, I was a pharmaceutical industry journalist. I found it quite interesting. Out of everything I could be doing, I didn't hate it. The pay was terrible, to be fair, but I didn't hate it, right? What I did hate was the time being eroded from my life before my eyes, because remember, I'm playing football, pretty decent level at this point, 2 training sessions a week, 1 game on a Saturday, doing YouTube on the side, working out and stuff. Also have to see my girlfriend, have to see my friends, you know, all that stuff. How do you balance that when I leave for work at 6:30 and get home at 7? And even on the first week, what would end up happening? I'd get home at 7. I'd lie in my bed for an hour because I'm like, I have to lie down because my back hurts from sitting on those terrible chairs all day. Then I'd get up and football training would be at 8. So some days I'd go to that. Or I'd get up, record a YouTube video, maybe do a little workout, edit my YouTube video, go to bed around 1:30 or 2. I'm not even joking. And then I would get up again at 6 the next day. So I would barely sleep so I could still maintain some semblance of identity, really. Because it's like, I do not want to make this job that I hate for bad pay just ruin my life. I don't want to just be worker who comes home and just plays video games or watches Netflix because I have so many hobbies I want to do. And there's nothing wrong with doing those things because I totally understand it. We need to decompress. But also at the time I had neurological issues which weren't helped by me not being able to sleep. And that's before we talk about the job. And just like she was saying in the TikTok, even if you like your job, even if you don't mind the long hours, having a commute that adds on like 15 hours a week to your like time you're away from home or whatever, that is so much. For me, I was working 40 hours a week, and I think it would be like 15-hour commute every week. And also, one day's commute actually cost me 1 hour's pay. So that's 5 hours pay a week I'm also losing from the commute as well, and I'm not being paid much, right? And when you boil it down to that, you just realise this system doesn't want you to be anything else but worker. And I say worker, what I really mean is wage slave, because they want you just to be a cog in the capitalist machine to make people money. Like, my boss was a CEO, terrible woman, and just treated us like shit and stuff. So very much saw the like labor exploitation before my eyes. And here's another fun story as well, because I was also working when the pandemic started, and much to my boss's resistance, trying to make us stay in the office, we started working from home. And guess what? Started working from home, and although I still was pretty disillusioned with work and everything, my life got better. I slept more, plenty of time for my hobbies, although football wasn't on to start with, but plenty of time for YouTube. And actually, I wouldn't be a YouTuber today if I didn't have that extra time to make YouTube videos. And that all stems from cutting the commute and not having to get up at 6:30 or 6 every day and spend so much of my life just on trains and spend so much of my life away from home. Like, I had all this free time now. I could game with my friends because we obviously couldn't meet up. Could talk to my girlfriend on the phone for ages. I could work out. I could go for runs when I wanted, and I could just have this better quality of life. Get off at 5:30, I'm done. And I'm just away from the computer, and I have so much more time. And also, I know you guys relate to this. Sometimes I would come out of work at 5:30, I'd feel alright, to be honest, but after the 1 hour and a half commute home, I was exhausted. Like, it literally sapped the last remaining energy out of me, right? And that is the difference. And like I said, what I did was not healthy, but I was so adamant as someone who was a communist. I was like, I will not just become like a wage slave. I just cannot let that be my life. Like, my whole life is just completely dictated or completely influenced by this. Like, I am literally going to not sleep so I can still do YouTube. I'm not going to sleep so I can still play football. Can do all these things. Not great for my health. I'm not advocating anyone do that, but I'm saying my whole motivation with my YouTube channel during the time of full-time work was two things. Mainly, I want to keep having my YouTube channel, having my voice. I don't want work to destroy that. But also, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, this is my escape. This is my escape from full-time work. And, you know, thankfully, it actually has been my escape from full-time work. You know, I work very hard on this channel, of course, but I can't pretend it's anything like how it used to be. Make my own schedule. You know, sleep as long as I want, do whatever I want, relatively, as long as I get the work done in the week. Have days off if I just don't feel like working, you know. It's great, relatively, compared to, like, the traditional capitalist work week. Like, I have made a video last Christmas about how it is hard monetizing your hobby and stuff, and monetizing your passion, but at the same time, like, I can't complain. And also, just a fun end to the story of me full-time working. My boss made us go back into the office in August 2020. Did like nothing to protect us from COVID, from each other. In November, I actually quit because there was another lockdown called. She refused. And then I stood up against her, calls me into her office, everyone can hear, starts saying stuff like, you should be grateful I pay your salary, people are losing their jobs, and don't worry. Once she said that, I just absolutely went off on her. And I'd already joined a union as well, which I told her, said, you know, try and fire me if you want for saying this stuff. And I just went off on her so bad. And this person was also raised in the Soviet Union as well. And I was saying stuff. I was like, you're not doing me a favor. I come here, you pay me, and I make more money for you than how much you pay me. I was saying all this stuff to her, and her face was so funny. And then what happened is I just cleared out my desk that day, and I just said to my manager, I was like, I'm not coming back. Like, she can either let us work from home, or, you know, I'm done. And then basically what happened is she did let us work from home, but I still resigned anyway. So, yeah, that was my blaze of glory. Going out the way you'd want to from corpo work. And my finest hour, might I say as well. I'm still very proud of myself for doing that. Not, like, necessarily easy, because my YouTube channel had, like, what, 10k subscribers, making zero money. It's not like I had a fallback plan. And then I just spent the next couple of months, you know, working really hard. And thankfully it set me on the path to full-time work. But yeah, it radicalised me bad. And also, what it made me have is empathy. And that's what we're going to see in the comments coming up. People don't have empathy, despite struggling as well. Like, I worked for 1 year in this environment, and it radicalised me for life. Like, sure, I was already a communist before I did it, so I had that theoretical mindset and theoretical framework to work with. But, you know, doing this terrible commute, doing ungodly hours which don't need to be done, and then seeing someone in your office who is older than your dad doing the same thing and thinking, that could be me. That could be me in 40 years. I could be him. Still doing this 40 years later. Like, oh my God, this system needs to change. And also, one more thing to note, of course, when I was working from home, I got the work done way quicker. And obviously, I'd be chilling way more because I do all my work way quicker and I have loads of more free time. Not that my boss knew that, of course. I'm sure lots of people can relate to that as well. But I didn't need to be in the office 8:30 to 5:30 every single day, because all I did in the office was just waste time. Like, I wasted more time at my desk in the office because I was so bored than I did then. And also there's other things, you know, like taking time off, taking sick days, going to the doctors. And if you have children, like, you know, I've seen loads of stories about that. Working from home is just a better work-life balance if you can do it, right? Your job can be done there. It should be an option for everyone, because yes, giving away your whole life to be a wage slave is not good for your mental health. And I totally relate with what this woman was saying. Now, like I said, empathy, it's a key part of being a leftist. So that's why I'm surprised that one of the main accounts on this person has an account like this. So this is an account that was dunking on this woman. In the misery, champagne drinking, Democrat voting, earth loving, racism hating liberal. And then pinned tweet, can New Mexico get some love? Democratic governor, senators, congressmen, secretary of state, attorney general, free college, free childcare, pro-choice, so proud of my state. So, pretty liberal person it seems. You know, I have my problems with liberals, but sounds quite good. Free college, free childcare. But no, this person feels the need to dunk on someone struggling with their first full-time job, who, again, let me remind you, is not saying the hours are too long. They're saying the commute makes it quite unbearable. So she writes, oh my God, poor baby has her first job. Like, she has to commute. Like, she has to cook dinner. Like, no time or energy to work out. Like, she's working in person, not remote. Like, she has to work 9 to 5. What? So get a load of some of the comments as well. She got so much criticism, which was nice to see. How will she have time to get her nails done? Poor girl is going to have to go without a manicure. So people replying, it sucks. I remember well realising I had to give most of my life away when I was her age, and I'm still annoyed about it at 50 because it blows. End the misery replying, it does blow. But this has been the norm for years and people have to work to live. I choose a career that I don't hate to go to every day. That makes it a lot better. Well, end the misery. Isn't that nice? You got to choose a career. Most people don't get to choose a career. Like, I have a master's degree in politics. I couldn't get the job I wanted. Even when I was close, I couldn't get it. I didn't choose the career I had. I just took whatever I got. Like 95% of people. And this is why it's so important to not be a liberal and to be a socialist. So you know that there is no like personal choice of, oh yeah, I just choose a job I like then. And this person wasn't even complaining about the hours either. So I don't know what this person is on about. But again, this has been the norm for years. Liberals are so unimaginative. Can you not imagine a better world where people work 4 days a week? People can choose to work in the office or work at home. Really basic shit, which isn't overthrowing the capitalist system. You're just like, nah, this has been the norm for years. Like when you watch Mad Men and Don Draper's doing it, I don't think anything should have changed from that time. More people replying to this, that's bad, we don't have to live like this, we can change it. But instead you're like, misery is fine actually. She replies, working 9 to 5 is not misery. Sorry, it definitely is. It is though, you've admitted this. And then she replies, I said working in general blows. but I also am not a snowflake and realise it's a part of life. You all sound like you want a free ride. So more people are saying the things she's complaining about are by no means new problems, but that doesn't mean we need to accept them just because they've always been there. It is possible to change the world into a better place. Then she writes, then why hasn't it changed? End the misery. You're talking about your own state having better things than other states. How did that happen? You think randomly sometimes people just decide let's make life better, or do people have to fight for change? But again, liberals firmly believe in the status quo. They might want to change some things, they might want Biden over Trump, but fundamentally they both represent the status quo and nothing will fundamentally change, right? And that's liberal mindset 101. They don't want change. They don't want things to get better. Someone also says, just because we have allowed ourselves to suffer before doesn't mean we should allow ourselves to suffer moving forward. There would be a lot less mental health issues as shown by EU studies of 32-hour work weeks. I don't disagree. I wish work weeks were 32 hours. So you personally wish that work weeks are 32 hours, but feel the need to dunk on someone who works a 35-hour work week and finds it intolerable because she's commuting like 10 hours a week and stuff, right? At the same time, you acknowledge that you want to work less too. Again, liberals are so unimaginative. They literally are the embodiment of capitalist neoliberal realism. And again, this gets even more insane. Someone saying, am I wrong? I actually feel for her. It's a massive shock entering into the real world. We should be preparing our kids better for what to expect. She says, both my sons work and go to school, which is about the equivalent of 2 jobs. They leave the house at 8 a.m. and don't get home till 6, 7. They go to the gym, eat, then study till midnight. I'd say they're preparing. Someone saying, so your sons have never had a bad day. They never got tired of this routine. She says, of course they do. They've had really bad days. But one of them literally works from morning till bed. He's not crying about it working 9 to 5. This person does not sound like a good parent. If you don't realise that young adults do not like this, young adults find this hard, just because they're not crying to their mum about it, again, this is so annoying. Liberals fundamentally lack empathy. Because how can you see this girl struggling and not be like, my sons find it okay, but I can totally understand how someone would find that hard. It's like, no, my sons don't complain, therefore no one should complain. They literally live their whole world in this individualist bubble. Not surprising this person is American as well. But then again, people agreeing, poor baby, welcome to adulthood. This is pathetic. I'd be ashamed if I raised a spoiled brat. Same here, someone needs to set her straight, and it certainly won't be her parents. Again, this person sounds like a terrible parent. No wonder your sons don't complain to you if you'd want to set them straight for not loving, spending every waking hour either commuting or working for the man. Over horror, I'm embarrassed for her. Look at the TikTok replies. It was appalling. Most seem like they supported her. You literally support what she's saying in other comments. You said you wish people worked 32 hours a week, and now you're saying someone complaining about 35 hours a week plus commute is privilege, and you'd set her straight. I'm literally going insane reading these replies. I have nothing nice to say. Literally, my husband left work at 5 a.m. and didn't get home until after 6. I can't even. So again, it's literally this attitude of, my life is bad, my husband's life sucks, so if his is worse than yours, you can't complain. I see this attitude so much when nurses, train drivers, bus drivers, they strike. And other people say, well, I only make 19k a year. You don't see me striking. And it's like, you should strike. Just because people are taking action to make their conditions better, or in this case, just because someone is complaining that the status quo is not fulfilling, doesn't mean you should invalidate that just because your husband works longer. Question, who raised her? She's in for a long ride. Her parents need to be slapped. Her parents need to be slapped. The person who has her kids work all day, they never complain to her. She thinks other people's parents are bad because this woman felt comfortable expressing her situation to her followers. If there's anyone who needs to be slapped, it's definitely not her parents, and it's definitely not her. Could be someone else tweeting right now. I do not get this mindset. I was actually going to make a video about this before. I forgot to make it. And it's about Americans especially bragging about how hard they work. I work 80 hours a week. You don't see me complaining. Yeah, because you're cucked by neoliberalism. You should complain and you shouldn't work yourself into an early grave. You having a worse situation should make you have more empathy, not less. Now don't worry, the Conservatives also found this. Recent college grad has breakdown over working a job, we're doomed. Ironically written by the person who runs Libs of TikTok. Because, you have a job, don't you? Just doxing people on Twitter with random ass TikToks. So Matt Walsh replied, if you don't want to work 9 to 5, there are other options. If you're a woman, get married and be a stay-at-home mum. Become an entrepreneur or pursue a career where the 9 to 5 structure is irrelevant. The caveat, again, is that you'll probably end up working a lot more than you would. I'm in that kind of industry and I work like 13 hours. I really doubt you work 13 hours a week, having a whole crew to film your garbage YouTube videos. Move out to the woods somewhere and try to live a self-sustaining lifestyle. Learn to grow and hunt your own food and build your house. This is how people lived prior to the invention of the 9 to 5. If you don't want to do any of these, then the 9 to 5 corporate slog is all you have left. If you don't want to work at all, too bad, this is life. This is what it means to be a person. You have to work one way or the other. Make your choice and shut up. Someone replying, Matt Walsh, you should live by arbitrary standards that not only I've completely made up, but I also do not live by. This is good advice. Him replying, I'm not making anything up, and it certainly isn't arbitrary. Human life needs to be sustained through work. There's literally no way out of this reality. Work can come in different forms. It doesn't have to be 9 to 5. But of all the options, the 9 to 5 probably requires the least amount of work. This is not a social standard. It's just a plain physical reality of human existence. The 9 to 5 is essentially a human construct. Go ahead and abolish it if you want. Let's go back to the pre-industrial age where nobody worked corporate jobs. Fine. But do you think you escape work this way? No, now you will work harder and longer than you ever have in your life. And if you don't work, you will simply die. That's what the world looks like without these social constructs that these people whine about. So like I said, Matt Walsh really doesn't work 9 to 5. I would, be shocked if he works more than 4 hours a day. He probably just records his videos and chills at the Daily Wire offices. And he also gets like millions of pounds a year to do this garbage as well. But anyway, it was interesting because he was talking about, you either work this 9 to 5 social construct or you go live in the woods and survive, or you go back to pre-industrial age where you work to survive. And I think it misses the point, but kind of reveals the point. Because the reason people hate 9 to 5 jobs is because it literally gives no benefit to humanity, by and large, right? It's all about generating profit for a tiny group of elite people, or like the CEO in your company, right? It's not about doing anything for society. Most jobs are bullshit. We don't need them. So the thought of going back to some sort of like rural existence actually appeals to a lot of people on both sides of the political spectrum. Like I said a lot, I play The Last of Us 2. I watch the HBO show. I see Jackson, the communist, socialist commune in the game. And I'm thinking, that looks appealing to me. Because although they live in this terrible world, everyone has a role. You're a chef, you're a guard, you're a farmer. You're all working together to contribute to your survival and hopefully thriving as a society, right? And for a lot of us who've worked these bullshit corporate jobs, you think about that and you're like, wouldn't it be nice that all this hard work I do isn't just in the service of profit, it's in the service of my community. And I'm sure a lot of people would be willing to work a lot harder to do something like this rather than work just as hard for some soulless corporate job where you're paid like shit, treated like shit, and you exist to make someone else money. So that's what Matt Walsh is fundamentally not understanding. But I also don't think a lot of what he's saying is even relevant to what that girl's saying. She didn't say abolish 9 to 5. She really didn't. She said, the hours are fine, it's the commute. And I don't know how people just can't sympathise with that. Like, how many of you in a city, London for me, packed on a hot tube, and it's just unbearable, and you're thinking, why the hell am I here? Oh, wait, I have to be here because I have to make money. And you can't imagine a future that's different from that. You can't imagine a better world where humans don't exist to create profit for a handful of people that are destroying the planet that we live on and will actually leave this planet when they destroy it. There's nothing wrong about complaining about the capitalist neoliberal work structure. Plenty of countries have changed this, right? Plenty of countries have a more relaxed attitude to this. Plenty of countries have even scaled back hours through, thankfully, union movements, which have been crushed in the US mainly, but scaling back in the UK as well. And why they're doing that is because they want this forever. Neoliberal capitalism is an ideology. And most of these people feel entitled to your time. Like, you know how I said I argued with my boss and she said I should be grateful? Most people feel like that. Most people in positions of employing people, they feel like they're doing you a favour. So if you dare complain that this commute is too long, these hours are too long, and they'll be like, I'll find someone else who's more grateful for this lovely opportunity. Not that you have to work for basic necessities to actually live and survive and not go homeless on the street hungry and stuff, right? Not that you're being coerced by this economic system to put up with my bullshit. It's this entitlement they all have to your time and your labour. And again, you see with that woman who claims to be a liberal how effective neoliberalism is, and that she can admit that 35 hours even is too much. We should have a 32-hour work week. Her boys work really hard, at the same time saying this girl's parents need a slap and someone needs to set her straight. Again, neoliberal brainwashing, where she thinks her whole self-worth is tied to work and that is all you exist for, essentially. And if you complain about that, then you're an idiot. You're privileged. You need a slap. And if it was meant to be better, well, why hasn't someone made it better? Literally, what is this person even asking for here? Anyway, that is it for the video. I hope you got as angry as I did filming that. But if you made it this far, thank you for watching.